So, you already have the divorce papers ready? Are you trying to scare me? You know I'm ready for this anytime. I told my husband, Jackson. He got up and went to his room. My name is Kamama, and I'm a 28-year-old office worker. I married Jackson a year ago. We met on a blind date and dated for a year and a half before he proposed. Even though I felt we might be getting married too soon, I accepted because I wanted to be married and have kids before turning 30. However, I later realized I should have been more careful. The first surprise came right after our wedding when Jackson suddenly decided to change his job. When I asked him why, he said he couldn't reach his full potential at his old job. He had already quit and would leave at the end of the month. Though he got a new job, his salary was lower than before. I didn't mind at first since I was also working, but then Jackson began asking me to quit my job. I would have been okay with quitting if he earned enough to support us both, but with his salary being lower, we couldn't manage on his income alone. We had rent, car payments, and other expenses to cover. Jackson promised his salary would increase soon, but we didn't know when. I told him I wouldn't quit until his income went up. He agreed but kept bringing it up. A year has passed, and his salary hasn't increased yet. He keeps asking, when are you going to quit? I'm tempted to joke and say now, but then tell him I'm kidding, because I can't afford to leave my job yet. If he wants me to quit so badly, he should focus on earning more. After some thought, I realized why Jackson was so insistent. He wanted me to quit so I could take care of his mother, Helen. Whenever we visited his parents, Jackson would say to her, I just want to make things easier for you, Mom. Helen would thank him, and Jackson would look at me, hinting that I should quit my job. He claims his mother needs help, but Helen is perfectly healthy. She works part-time, enjoys her hobbies, and has a very active life. She doesn't need my help at all. If I were in Helen's shoes, I'd feel upset being seen as someone who needs care when I'm perfectly capable. But Jackson kept insisting that I take care of her. If only one of us were home during the day, we could check on Mom every day, Jackson said. It became clear he wanted me to visit his parents' house daily, and that idea was exhausting. I asked him, Helen is perfectly healthy, so what exactly do you expect me to do? Jackson answered, there's plenty you could do, housework, running errands, and more. I pointed out that Helen works part-time and spends time with her friends, so she's not even home much. Jackson responded, even if she's not home, you could still do the housework, right? I was baffled. Was I supposed to be her maid? Jackson seemed overly concerned with impressing his parents. If he cared so much, why didn't he handle the household chores himself? I wasn't going to indulge his pride, so I kept working and avoided visiting his parents on my days off. However, I did visit them during holidays. When we went to his parents' house together, Jackson often assigned me tasks, cleaning, helping his mom, or running to the store, but I never did them. When he asked me to go to the store, I'd say, don't you know more about this area than I do? He would respond, it wouldn't make sense if I did it. It seemed like Jackson just wanted to control me and feel good about caring for his parents. Over time, I started to view him this way. One day, I boldly asked him, why don't you pitch in or quit your job to take care of your own mother? He looked uncomfortable and disgusted. That's not my job, he said. I'm giving you these tasks so my mom will think you're a considerate wife. You should appreciate how kind I am to you. In other words, Jackson wanted to dump all the hard work on me while showing off as a good son, but I'm not his servant, and I don't deserve to be treated poorly in front of my in-laws. If he kept making unreasonable demands, I knew I wouldn't stay silent. I'd stand up for myself. But even after discussing it with him, Jackson didn't change. He kept asking if I would quit my job and continued ordering me around when we visited his parents. I finally decided it was time to have a serious talk with him. Seriously, I think we need to talk about our future, I said. Jackson sounded annoyed as he replied, what are you even trying to say? I'm fed up. I'm tired of you always asking me when I'll quit my job and pushing me to take care of Helen. I explained. Why are you upset about that? You're my wife, and it's your duty to care for your husband's parents, Jackson replied. Don't you think that's a huge responsibility? Shouldn't you, as their actual child, be responsible for helping with housework and taking care of your own parents first? I asked. No way, it's the wife's duty. Don't you care about family? I'm really disappointed in you, Jackson said. Okay, then let me ask, how have you been taking care of my parents? If I asked you to care for them, would you do it? I questioned. Jackson looked at me blankly. What are you talking about? Why should a husband take care of his wife's parents? So, you're saying you won't take care of my parents now or ever? I pressed. Husband's parents and wife's parents are completely different, Jackson responded. What difference does that make? I don't get it, I said, frustrated. I didn't realize you were so clueless. It's like talking to my old boss, I continued. What are you saying? Jackson asked, confused. I'm saying the husband's parents should come first. You should also take care of your wife's parents, I clarified. What? So you only prioritize your own family? I'm disappointed in you. I won't visit your parents anymore, I stated. Huh, why would you do that? Enough is enough. I'm the one who wants you to stop this nonsense, I retorted. No way, how dare you talk back like that? My mom is right, Jackson shot back. Huh, your mom was talking about you. She said you're a badly behaved wife, that's why she gave me this, Jackson said, pulling out a piece of paper from his bag. It was divorce papers. What? You already had divorce papers ready? I was shocked. Jackson seemed proud. See? I scared you, didn't I? I'm ready for this anytime. Think about what you just said, Jackson declared smugly, before heading to his room. I couldn't believe how selfish Jackson was. The way he looked so proud with those divorce papers was clear, he was using them to control me and make me obey. And the fact that Helen was involved made me even more suspicious. It felt like Jackson was just following his mom's orders. I wasn't going to let him control me. Jackson had already completed the divorce papers and even had witnesses, including Helen and his friends. It meant I could sign and file them whenever I wanted. The next day, after Jackson left for work, I filled out the divorce papers and submitted them to the city office, just to be safe. I also filed a notice to prevent Jackson from submitting the marriage certificate without my consent. I called my parents and told them everything, knowing Jackson might try to file it on his own. My parents were shocked that I had already prepared the divorce papers but supported my decision. They were outraged by Jackson's behavior and offered to help me move out immediately. I took a leave from work, and while Jackson was away, my parents helped me move my things to their house. I decided to stay with them for a while, and for the first time in a long time, I felt truly comfortable and at peace. Looking back, Jackson never did his share of the housework. I was the one cooking dinner after long workdays and doing all the cleaning and laundry on my days off. On top of that, he expected me to care for his parents, which was too much. That night, Jackson called me, likely just getting home from work. Hello? Where are you? He asked. I'm at my parents' house, I replied. Why would you go there without my permission? And where's all your stuff? Don't tell me you're staying the night. I almost laughed. He didn't realize I had taken most of my belongings. His selfishness was obvious. I'm not coming back, I said firmly. What are you talking about? Come back here and make me some food. Make it yourself, I replied and ended the call. I couldn't talk about the divorce if he kept acting this way, so I decided to wait for him to come to my parents' house and blocked his number. A week later, Jackson showed up at my parents' house with his parents. They all looked serious. I led them into the living room, and we faced each other, 3 against 3. How could you do this? How could you leave without my permission? Jackson demanded. You were treating me like a housekeeper, I replied. All I asked was for you to take care of your family. Jackson countered. That's not true. What kind of wife are you if you don't take care of Jackson? Helen, his mother, shot me an angry look. My father was shaking with anger, but I spoke up. Jackson told me to quit my job and take care of Helen, saying it was my duty as his wife. But when it comes to my family, he expects me to handle everything alone. Jackson just wants to control me and uses me to care for his parents while taking credit for it. He prioritizes them over me. Helen glared, but Jackson's father, Carter, seemed confused. It was clear he hadn't heard this before. Let's clear the air, Jackson said, bringing up the divorce papers and claiming it was Helen's idea. Why would you suggest that? Carter asked, surprised. Oh no, it's because Kamama has an attitude problem, Helen stammered. And did you really say my parents don't matter? I pressed. Well, it's only natural for your own parents to come first, Helen responded defensively. Don't be ridiculous, I replied. Carter, Jackson's father, spoke up. I came here to support you after hearing about the unfair treatment Camila endured, but now it seems you're the one at fault. Don't hide behind your parents' authority to get your way. Carter's words made Jackson visibly shrink in his seat. Carter then apologized to me and my parents. I'm truly sorry for the trouble caused by my foolish son. I will have a serious talk with him. You're not to blame, Carter, so please don't apologize, I replied. Thank you for your kind words, but there's something else I need to say, I continued, turning to Jackson, who looked nervous. The divorce papers you gave me, I've already filed them. We're no longer married. Jackson and Helen both turned pale. Why did you file them without my permission? Jackson asked, shocked. You told me I could file them whenever I wanted. Besides, you had already filled out your part and had Helen sign as a witness, I calmly explained. Jackson stammered, at a loss for words. Furious, Carter intervened. Jackson, you used divorce as a threat. He slapped Jackson across the face. Helen was visibly shaken. I deeply apologize that you had to witness this. You were right to divorce this fool. On behalf of Jackson, I'm truly sorry for ruining your marriage, Carter said, grabbing Jackson by the collar and demanding apologies from both Jackson and Helen before escorting them out. Later, I thanked Carter for his intervention. He made sure all of Jackson's assets and property were transferred to me without any issues. Despite my higher income and managing the household, it was a relief to secure everything from our marriage. I later learned that Carter had divorced Helen, clearly disgusted with her behavior. A colleague from Jackson's old job also shared some surprising news. Jackson wasn't performing well at work and often received harsh criticism from his boss. In defiance, Jackson resigned and changed jobs, which explained his lower salary. Instead of taking responsibility, he blamed others, just another reason I was glad to have left him. I've since rented a cozy apartment and enjoy living on my own. Work is going well, and I recently got a raise. Right now, I'm not interested in relationships and prefer focusing on my career. Jackson always cared more about appearances than actual abilities, keeping up a facade at home while failing professionally. Many men use divorce threats as a way to control their wives, thinking they have power, but they're wrong. I hope they realize their mistakes and find happiness on their own. Meanwhile, I'm grateful to have moved on from Jackson and look forward to meeting someone special in the future.